Good morning, this is C.H.E.K. Welcome back to my video blog. Before we get started, I wanted to share, just in case you're interested, the resources for my discussion today are partly in my book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. And for those of you that would like to use my 4-doctor approach to improving your health, well-being, emotional stability, relationships, then I highly recommend my 1, 2, 3, 4 for overcoming addiction, obesity, and disease audio program, which I believe is something along the lines of 9 to 11 hours of education and about a 134-page workbook where I guide you through the steps of identifying what are the underlying causes of your personal addiction, obesity, and or disease. Then, of course, there's my multimedia ebook, the last 4 doctors will ever need, How to Get Healthy Now, which covers the basics. And then there's audio expansions that go fairly deeper into each of these 4 doctors and looking at some of the metaphysical issues. So today I wanted to extend my previous talk. I talked about the I, a little bit about the we, and now I want to talk again about the all. And this will lead into my next video blog where I deal with some of the interesting issues going on in the world. So to go back to the very beginning and just reiterate, the I, we, all model that I've developed is one that others have used in some way, shape, or form, various researchers. Ken Wilber has a variation of the I, we, all theme that is very, very powerful and effective. So I want to make the point that this isn't my own viewpoint. It's something that I have studied, elaborated on, and refined based on my own knowledge and my own experience to make it applicable to a large audience. I make this preface because it's important to realize that this is not a unique or a novel concept. It's one that researchers in psychology, for example, have been looking at for a long time. And basically what you see is a formula, and the formula plays itself out quite realistically in our own lives. And that's what I like, is when you find research and or philosophy that actually is harmonious with reality. I have found the I, we, all model to be extremely harmonious with the reality that we all face. So the I, we, all model basically says, I must take responsibility, excuse me, these must be rented lips, they're backfiring. I must love me, which means I meet my 4-doctor needs, which leads to the question, how is my vitality and my own health? Since, as I shared earlier, each of us is 100% responsible for the relationship that we have with ourselves, and that relationship becomes 50% of all we relationships. Yet it's very normal for human beings to think that the reason they're having challenging relationships with other people is that somebody else has something wrong with them. They did this, he shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't. And that often leads to projecting your pain onto other people without realizing, hey, we're 50% of each relationship, and if we continue to participate in relationships that are painful, then we must accept responsibility for that as well, because if we keep doing it when it hurts, then, as my buddy Laird Hamilton says, you might want to sit for a while under a very tall tree and figure that out. So the I element just means I'm taking responsibility for myself, and I'm being clear on what I can share honestly and openly, and what is challenging for me to share. And once I know what my I values are, I know who I am most likely to be functionally compatible with in relationships. We always are most likely to find that we're compatible in relationships with people that share a similar value structure with us. In other words, if you get married to somebody that has radically different values than you do, chances are really good you guys are going to need to take boxing classes to vent your energy, and hopefully that will do it. We, I am capable of loving at the we, which equals 2. So one who has nourished their needs for happiness, they're clear about what their values are, they know what they like to eat, how much, where, when, how, They know what type of exercise is nourishing to them. They know what kind of diet is nourishing them. So you have the happiness, the quiet. They know what sort of spiritual practice. They know how they like to rest. So those are the things that we need to know going into a relationship, or we don't really know what type of surprises we're going to get in a new relationship. Because if we need to have time with a friend to share with them, but we want some rest and maybe to do something that's nourishing to us, but the people that we bring into our sphere of personal space have other ideas or other needs, it can lead to conflict in relationships, and it can lead to pain. And I can tell you, as a man who spends a lot of time working at the all level, that I also suffer quite often from allowing myself to get involved in too many relationships, trying to support people. And if I have not met my I needs, it can actually create pain in me, because ultimately I feel like I'm losing myself trying to support other people. And I'm sharing that with you because I've been practicing all this for a very long time, but there is definitely an awareness of love that goes greater than beyond ourselves, and that's natural for us to want to be involved with other people and to want to care. But when it starts to hurt to want to be involved and to want to care, that's when I'm suggesting that we be really, really conscious about what it is that we need. Most of us are in pain in we relationships and all relationships, and we don't really know why we're in pain. We know we're frustrated, we know we're tired, we know we're maybe edgy, and we may not even like the way we're behaving, but we often don't know why it is. Knowing what your needs are as an individual makes it easier for you to know when to say no. And as I'm suggesting, even with all that in place, it can still be challenging, because the healthier and the more vital you are, the more natural it is for you to have concern for people at the we and the all level. And that can be empathetic concern, compassionate concern. It can be a willingness to support and to help. But if you don't have the resources, that love and concern can actually paradoxically cause a painful relationship between you and you. And you can ask questions like, why do I keep doing this? And I've asked myself that many times, and it leads me to an awareness that whenever I'm not meeting my own needs and I'm sharing with other people, I'm actually creating pain for one person while trying to alleviate somebody else. Well, you don't need to be a big mathematician. If you hurt yourself while helping someone else, the net gain's zero. A negative and a positive is a zero. So what can we do together to address the issues that are really in front of us at the all level? And there are many. Okay, so at the I love all, that means we're now dealing with 3 people or more. So me and you is a we. A husband and wife is a we, but the instant there's a child born, they're now catapulted to the spiritual responsibilities of the all level. Whatever happens in that relationship will dramatically imprint, influence, and affect the third person as a child, which means that child now begins to emulate the we as their I in the world. So if we're not careful, and we're having kids for the wrong reasons, we're bringing ourselves into too many relationships for the wrong reasons without realizing it, we're actually metaphorically duplicating our challenges and putting them out into the world. And many of the people in the world today don't have a very good toolkit for recognizing why they're in pain all the time. And I have significant evidence that that's one of the reasons we do have so much addiction, obesity, and disease in the world today, even though we've got massive amounts of technology that's supposed to address these things. So once you're at the level of all, you're at 3+, then we need to look at the human organism. When we're dealing with the all, and we're dealing with the all of human beings, we're also dealing not only with the whole world. So the blue circle represents the world, and the body in there represents the being of humanity. So just like we're made of a composition of about 100 trillion cells, humanity is made of about 6 or 7 billion cells called human beings, and we are the one living organism that is the most stressful to the entire planet without any question at all. I don't think most of you would argue with that. So what we see here is I love myself is the equivalent of I'm capable of loving you, and I'm loving me and loving you is the equivalent of I'm capable of loving my child or my neighbor or my school teacher, my boss, my friends, etc. In order to do that, we have to be clear on what our needs for happiness, diet, quiet, and movement are. So when we now look at some of the issues of the all, how is my health and vitality? If I'm lacking in health and vitality, I can watch the news, I can see all the things wrong with the world, I can say, oh, those bastards, they're taking away food again, or they're making vitamins illegal, or the government's doing, all that. But all it is hot air if you don't have enough energy to do anything about it. And most people have been talking about the problems of the world forever, and nothing seems to really change. Okay, so at the we level, if my health and vitality is X, what do I bring into my relationships with the other? What I'm proposing here is that you're a cell in that organism, so if you're out of balance here, you've created an imbalance here. So running around worrying about what everyone else is doing in the world is really pushing yourself up to the all level of responsibility, which is like having a bunch of children, but not taking time to be a healthy mother or a healthy father, which is a guarantee that you're likely to have a bunch of confused, unhealthy children in the world, adding to the population, living and emulating the same sort of challenges that we're all trying to heal from. Okay? Once I know my I-ness and I know my we-ness, what can I authentically share with the all? That's the question we all need to be asking, in my personal opinion. Not the world is fucked up and we got to get rid of the government, or we got to get rid of all the, the list just is so long now, it's not even worth trying to go through it all. The conspiracy theories, the education, the drugs, the medicine, the bad farming, la 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 la, it goes forever. Well, so does the problems here go forever, and so do the problems here go forever, and they just trickle right down to become the problems of the all. So at the end of the day, if we really want to be honest about addressing the challenges that face the world, which I'll discuss some of them in my next video blog, we also have to be honest that there's a lot of work ahead of us. There's a lot of behavior changing ahead of us. There's a lot of systems that we've got to stop funding, or they're going to keep on doing what they're doing, and we're going to keep sitting around complaining. And the real neat issue, as I'll show in my next blog, is that if we change our behavior at the I level, we're automatically changing the behavior and the function of the world itself, because we are each a cell in the organism, and one healthy cell in a sick organism has the information to inform the other cells in the organism. So if we can get even one doctor right, we're on the way to mastering 4 doctors, which means we're on the way to being healthy people, which means we're on the way to making intelligent decisions and having the vitality to actually do something about it. Okay? So in a nutshell, what I'm sharing with you today is love and nourish yourself, have a clear definition of your dream, develop values that are dream affirmative for how much rest you need, movement you need, and what type of food you're going to eat, and be conscious of who you're supporting every time you put money in somebody's hand, because that's the only real vote there is. There's no vote more powerful than what you buy or do not buy. As far as I'm concerned, the rest of it's all just, well, I don't really have nice words. It's just the state of the mirror that we're looking in. Remember, Lao Tzu said it very clearly. The people are always reflected in the government, or the government is always a reflection of the people. So school systems, the road systems, the infrastructures, the political systems, the religious theories and philosophies and conflicts, they're all reflecting us back to us. And they're all, as a therapist with a lot of knowledge in these areas, These issues are all reflecting individual problems at a collective level. Individual problems at a collective level. So I hope you have enjoyed this little overview of the I, we, and all, and I hope you can see the logic and the rationale of it. And yes, there's going to be some that say that's unrealistic, I got this and I got that going on. There's always going to be compromises, there's always going to be challenges, but we either face the challenges of becoming healthy and have the energy to do something about it and the intelligence to do something about it, or we face the challenges of continuing to use systems that don't work, drugs that don't work, medical systems that don't work, education systems that don't work, food that doesn't work, chemicals that don't work, etc. And we have nothing but more complaining to do. The difference is we have no energy to make the change, and therefore we're likely to essentially die looking in the mirror. We're all going to die looking in the mirror, metaphysically. The question is, are you going to like what you see? I feel good each day because I know I'm doing my best as a human being, as an organism, to do something to contribute to the world by contributing to myself and carrying that into my relationships and teaching that to my students and being the best example I can. So when I look in the mirror, no matter what the world looks like, I have a sense of inner calm that I did my best to leave the garden a little bit more beautiful than when I got here. And my dream is that I can share a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of wisdom with you so that you can feel like you've contributed to the garden, and so that when our last breath comes, no matter what, we know that we have loved ourselves, we've done our best to love in relationships, and we've done our best to love the world and all in it. So thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed my little talk, and I look forward to our next opportunity to share and dialogue on these issues.